In today's video, we're revealing the most expensive Roosevelt dimes ever discovered, the key details to look for, and how an ordinary 10-cent coin could completely change your life. Make sure you watch until the end. You won't want to spend a rare dime by mistake. Have you ever handed over a dime without looking at it? Maybe you dropped one into a vending machine, tossed one into a tip jar, or left it forgotten in the cup holder of your car. Most people see only 10 cents. But collectors see something completely different. They see history, rarity, and sometimes a life-changing opportunity. What if one ordinary-looking 1968 Roosevelt dime hiding in circulation carried characteristics that could make it worth thousands, or, in the most extraordinary and unique circumstances, inspire headlines about values approaching $777,000? The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck. It's knowledge. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why one tiny silver-colored coin has become one of the most fascinating treasures for modern numismatists. Every year, millions of Roosevelt dimes pass from hand to hand without attracting a second glance. Most are spent within seconds of being received. Yet hidden among countless ordinary examples are a handful of remarkable coins with unusual minting characteristics that collectors actively search for. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes in 1968, making the date appear common at first glance. But experienced collectors know that high mintages never guarantee that every surviving coin is ordinary. Sometimes the rarest discoveries are hiding inside the most common dates. The story begins in Denver during 1968. America was experiencing tremendous social change, and the United States Mint was working at full speed to produce enough coins for everyday commerce. The Roosevelt dime had already become a familiar part of American life, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt and symbolizing stability after decades of economic and political transformation. Most of these dimes entered circulation immediately, picked up scratches, lost their original luster, and disappeared into the endless flow of commerce. But a very small number escaped that ordinary fate. Here's where things become truly fascinating. Serious collectors aren't simply looking for a 1968 Roosevelt dime. They're hunting for exceptional examples with unusual characteristics that separate them from millions of ordinary coins. One of the most desirable possibilities is a dramatic off-center strike. During the minting process, if the blank planchet isn't perfectly aligned beneath the dies, the design may be struck noticeably off-center. The greater the visible design while still showing the full date and mint mark, the more attractive the error becomes to collectors. Now stop for just a moment. If you have a jar of old coins sitting somewhere in your home, this is the perfect time to remember it. You don't need expensive equipment to begin looking. Sometimes incredible discoveries begin with nothing more than curiosity and a careful eye. Another highly sought-after variety involves double die characteristics. Under magnification, portions of the lettering, date, or design may display noticeable doubling created during the die manufacturing process. Genuine double dies are significantly different from ordinary machine doubling, and experienced collectors carefully examine every detail before confirming authenticity. Finding a true double die on a 1968 Roosevelt dime would immediately attract attention from advanced numismatists. Collectors also search for die cracks and retained cuds. As production dies wore down from striking countless coins, stress sometimes caused cracks to develop across the die surface. Those cracks transferred onto the finished coins as raised lines. While small die cracks are relatively common across many series, large, dramatic examples that create unusual visual effects can become surprisingly desirable, especially when combined with exceptional preservation. Then there are broad strikes and partial collar errors. These fascinating mistakes occur when the coin isn't properly confined during striking. The result can be a wider than normal dime with distorted edges or an unusual shape that immediately stands out from ordinary circulation pieces. Errors like these remind us that even the highly controlled environment of the United States Mint wasn't completely immune to mechanical imperfections. But perhaps the greatest factor isn't the error itself. Its condition. Think about this. How many dimes have spent decades bouncing around cash registers, pockets, purses, washing machines, and sidewalks? Almost all of them. That's why pristine examples are extraordinarily difficult to locate today. Coins displaying blazing original mint luster, razor-sharp details, and virtually flawless surfaces become exponentially rarer with every increase in certified grade. Here's something many people don't realize. Two coins with the exact same date and mint mark can differ in value by thousands of dollars simply because one survived in remarkable condition while the other entered heavy circulation. That's why professional grading services play such an important role in today's marketplace. They authenticate the coin, verify any mint errors, and assign an objective grade recognized by collectors around the world. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually examined the change in your pocket? Most people don't. They assume every dime is worth exactly 10 cents. But collectors know that assumptions have caused remarkable treasures to be overlooked for generations. The market for rare error coins has changed dramatically over the past decade. Online auctions now connect buyers from across the globe, creating fierce competition whenever an exceptional coin appears. Collectors who once searched only local coin shops now compete internationally for the finest certified examples. That increased visibility has pushed prices for significant mint errors and top population coins to astonishing levels. Now, let's address the number that brought many viewers here today: $777,000. It's important to understand that an ordinary 1968 Roosevelt dime is not worth anywhere near that amount. The overwhelming majority remain worth only face value unless they possess collectible qualities. However, the rarest certified mint errors, unique combinations of multiple striking mistakes, extraordinary provenance, or one-of-a-kind specimens can inspire enormous attention in the marketplace. Headlines discussing six-figure values generally involve coins that are exceptionally rare, professionally authenticated, and highly competitive among elite collectors. When people mention figures approaching $777,000, they're referring to extraordinary possibilities, not typical circulation coins. That's exactly why authentication matters so much. The difference between an ordinary damaged coin and a legitimate mint error can only be determined through careful examination by knowledgeable experts. Cleaning a coin, polishing it, or attempting to improve its appearance often destroys much of its collectible value. If you ever discover a suspicious-looking 1968 Roosevelt dime, the smartest decision is to leave it exactly as you found it and seek professional evaluation. Here's another quick reality check. Imagine dumping every coin from your piggy bank onto the table tonight. It might feel like you're sorting through nothing more than spare change. But what if one overlooked dime has been waiting decades for someone who finally understands what to look for? That possibility is exactly what keeps collectors searching year after year. The psychology behind coin collecting is unlike almost any other hobby. Treasure isn't buried on distant islands or hidden inside ancient castles. Sometimes it's quietly resting inside a forgotten coffee can in the garage. Every inherited collection, every old dresser drawer, every bank roll, and every estate sale carries the possibility of revealing something extraordinary. Most searches end with ordinary coins, but every legendary discovery began with someone deciding to look. The 1968 Roosevelt dime represents that spirit perfectly. At first glance, it's just another modern coin. Yet beneath its familiar appearance lies a fascinating world of die varieties, striking errors, grading standards, and collector demand. That's what transforms an everyday object into a potential numismatic treasure. As more collectors enter the hobby and educational resources become widely available, competition for premium quality coins continues to increase. Population reports reveal just how few flawless examples survive, while major auction houses regularly showcase spectacular coins that remind the collecting community how valuable true rarity can become. Supply remains permanently limited, but demand continues evolving with every new generation of collectors. That combination creates excitement unlike almost any other collectible market. You cannot simply manufacture another authentic 1968 mint error. Every genuine example represents a frozen moment in mint history that can never be duplicated. Once those coins enter advanced collections, they often disappear for years before returning to public auction. That scarcity fuels fascination, competition, and sometimes breathtaking prices, so before you spend another dime without looking, remember what you've learned today. Check the date. Look for the D mint mark. Examine the edges, lettering, and design carefully. Search for dramatic off-center strikes, authentic double die features, broad strikes, die cracks, and other genuine mint-produced anomalies. Most importantly, resist the temptation to clean anything that appears unusual. Preservation is one of the greatest assets a collectible coin can possess. Whether your search leads to a 10-cent coin or an incredible collector's discovery, the real reward is developing the knowledge to recognize opportunity where everyone else sees ordinary change. That's the mindset shared by successful collectors across America. They understand that hidden wealth often reveals itself only to those willing to slow down, pay attention, and ask one simple question. What if this coin is different? And remember, the next incredible treasure may be even more surprising than the 1968 D. Roosevelt dime. In our next episode, we'll uncover another ultra-rare American coin that has stunned collectors, broken auction expectations, and could still be hiding in everyday circulation today. You won't want to miss that remarkable story. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple Roosevelt dime, and spending it on a cup of coffee, never realizing it could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. It sounds impossible, but stories like these have fueled the passion of coin collectors across America for decades. Every single day, millions of Roosevelt dimes change hands without a second glance. Most are worth only 10 cents. But hidden among them are incredibly rare examples that have stunned collectors and auction houses alike. Today, we're uncovering the mystery surrounding the 1966 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime, a coin surrounded by fascinating history, remarkable minting errors, and extraordinary collector demand. Before you dismiss that old jar of coins sitting in your home, remember this: the difference between a spender and a collector is often just one careful look. Someone could unknowingly spend a small fortune simply because they never examined the tiny details. Stay with me until the end, because one feature on this dime could completely change the way you look at your pocket change forever. The year was 1966, and America was experiencing dramatic changes. The U.S. Mint was struggling with a nationwide coin shortage. Demand for coins had exploded, while collectors were pulling freshly minted coins out of circulation faster than the mint could replace them. To discourage hoarding, the government made a bold decision. From 1965 through 1967, mint marks were intentionally removed from nearly all circulating coins. That means every regular 1966 Roosevelt dime was struck without a mint mark, regardless of where it was produced. At first glance, this makes the phrase "no mint mark" seem ordinary. But that's exactly where many people become confused. The real value isn't simply the missing mint mark. Instead, it's the extraordinary combination of condition, rarity, and genuine mint errors that can transform one ordinary-looking dime into an elite collector's treasure. Now here's where things become truly fascinating. Most 1966 Roosevelt dimes are common, with hundreds of millions produced. Yet only a microscopic number survived in extraordinary condition while also displaying rare minting abnormalities. These are the coin's serious collectors chase for years. Finding one is like discovering a hidden masterpiece in an attic. It happens, but only to those who know exactly what they're looking for. Before we continue, here's a quick challenge. If you have a jar of old coins somewhere in your house, pause for a moment after this video and check every 1966 dime you can find. You might not discover a fortune, but you certainly can't find a rare coin without looking. That's exactly how many exciting coin discoveries begin. Let's dive into the errors that have captured the attention of advanced numismatists. One of the most desirable is a strong double die. This occurs during the creation of the coin's die, producing noticeable doubling on the lettering, Roosevelt's profile, or the date. Unlike machine doubling, a genuine double die becomes part of the design itself. Under magnification, the separation appears crisp and distinct. Collectors pay significant premiums for authentic double die varieties because they represent a true mistake during the die manufacturing process rather than damage after striking. Another highly desirable error is an off-center strike. During the striking process, if the blank planchet is not perfectly positioned beneath the dies, part of the design may be missing while the remaining design stays fully detailed. Minor off-center examples are collectible, but dramatic off-center strikes that still show the full date become exceptionally valuable. Every percentage of displacement changes both rarity and demand. Then there are broad strikes. Normally, the collar surrounding the planchet keeps the coin's shape perfectly round. If the collar fails, the metal expands outward during striking, producing a wider coin without its normal raised edge. These dramatic mistakes immediately attract experienced collectors because they are impossible to recreate after the coin leaves the mint. Next comes the famous clipped planchet error. Before striking, coin blanks are punched from long metal sheets. Occasionally, the punches overlap, creating a crescent-shaped blank missing a portion of its edge. When struck, the missing section remains visible forever. Genuine clipped planchets display distinctive metal flow characteristics that experts carefully examine before authentication. Here's another attention check. Have you ever looked closely at the edge of a dime and wondered if something seemed unusual? Most people never do. Yet that simple habit has led collectors to discover coins worth thousands of dollars. Sometimes treasure really does hide in plain sight. Collectors also search for die cracks, retained die breaks, and dramatic cut errors. As production dies wear down after striking thousands of coins, tiny fractures can develop. These cracks transfer onto every subsequent coin until the damaged die is retired. Larger breaks may create raised blobs of metal known as cuds. While many die cracks are minor, spectacular examples on high-grade coins can command substantial premiums. Another fascinating variety involves struck-through errors. During striking, grease, cloth fibers, or tiny pieces of debris occasionally become trapped between the die and the planchet. The obstruction prevents part of the design from fully transferring, leaving unusual recessed areas that intrigue specialists. Each struck-through error tells a unique story about what happened inside the coining press during that split second of production. Condition is equally important. In the world of rare coins, preservation can mean everything. A heavily circulated 1966 dime with no significant errors usually carries little premium. However, a brilliantly preserved example displaying blazing mint luster, razor-sharp details, and exceptional eye appeal may compete for registry sets among elite collectors. These collectors often battle aggressively for the finest certified examples because only a handful exist at the highest grading levels. One feature that advanced Roosevelt dime collectors admire is the full bands designation. Look carefully at the horizontal bands across the torch on the reverse. If the strike is exceptionally sharp, the upper and lower bands remain fully separated without interruption. This seemingly tiny detail dramatically affects value because it demonstrates remarkable striking quality. Achieving full bands on a 1966 dime becomes increasingly difficult due to production conditions during that era. Now imagine combining multiple desirable characteristics into a single coin. Picture a sharply struck 1966 Roosevelt dime with blazing original luster, full bands, a genuine doubled die, and flawless preservation certified at the highest grading levels. Suddenly, you're no longer looking at everyday pocket change. You're looking at a coin that could ignite fierce bidding among advanced collectors worldwide. Here's something many people overlook. Valuable coins aren't always old enough to be considered ancient. They don't need to be made of gold. They don't have to come from pirate ships or buried treasure chests. Sometimes the most valuable discoveries are hiding inside everyday change that millions of people ignore simply because it appears ordinary. The Roosevelt dime itself carries powerful historical significance. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt after his passing, the coin became a lasting tribute to his leadership and his fight against polio. For generations, Americans have carried Roosevelt dimes without realizing the rich history they represent. Every coin serves as a miniature time capsule connecting modern collectors to an important chapter of American history. As interest in rare coins continues growing, registry competition has intensified dramatically. Wealthy collectors seek the absolute finest examples available, often refusing to compromise when a population report shows only a handful exist at the very top of the grading scale. When elite collectors compete over one exceptional coin, prices can climb far beyond what casual observers expect. That brings us to one of the biggest questions surrounding this remarkable dime. Could a 1966 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime actually approach an extraordinary value like $699,000? The answer requires important context. An ordinary circulated 1966 dime is not worth anywhere near that amount. However, the rare coin market has repeatedly demonstrated that unique combinations of exceptional preservation, significant authenticated mint errors, extreme rarity, elite certification, outstanding provenance, and intense auction competition can push certain coins to astonishing levels. The most extraordinary examples become one-of-one opportunities in the marketplace. When rarity meets demand, traditional price expectations often disappear. This is why authentication matters so much. Experienced collectors rely on respected third-party grading services to verify authenticity, identify genuine mint errors, assign professional grades, and encapsulate coins for long-term protection. Proper certification builds confidence among buyers and allows exceptional coins to compete at major auctions where record-setting prices are established. Here's another quick reality check. How many old dimes have passed through your hands during your lifetime? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe tens of thousands? Now ask yourself one question. Did you inspect even one of them carefully? Most people never do. That's precisely why remarkable discoveries continue happening year after year. The rare coin market has evolved into a global arena where collectors, investors, museums, and historians compete for exceptional pieces of American numismatic history. Digital auctions have expanded worldwide participation, allowing extraordinary coins to reach motivated buyers across continents. As demand grows and the supply of elite condition examples remains permanently limited, competition becomes increasingly intense. Whether you're a lifelong collector or someone who simply inherited an old coin jar from a family member, today is the perfect time to take a closer look. Every coin deserves a second glance before being spent. The next remarkable discovery won't necessarily come from an ancient vault. It could come from an overlooked dresser drawer, a forgotten piggy bank, or a handful of loose change sitting inside your car's cup holder. Remember, successful collectors aren't simply lucky. They're patient, informed, and curious. They understand that knowledge creates opportunity. Every valuable coin was once dismissed as ordinary until someone recognized what everyone else overlooked. As we wrap up today's journey into the fascinating world of the 1966 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime, remember the lesson that makes coin collecting so exciting. Hidden wealth doesn't announce itself. It waits quietly for someone willing to pay attention. The smallest coin in your pocket could carry the biggest surprise of your lifetime, especially if it possesses one of the rare mint errors we've discussed today and survives in extraordinary condition. Don't let history slip through your fingers for just 10 cents. Check your change, examine every old dime carefully, and continue learning because the next incredible discovery could already be sitting inside your home without you realizing it. And if you think this Roosevelt dime is impressive, wait until you see the next ultra-rare American coin we'll uncover. A mysterious coin with an astonishing mint error that has left even experienced collectors speechless and could be worth far more than anyone imagined. You won't want to miss that incredible story. What if I told you that a single Roosevelt dime from 2017 could be worth more than many luxury homes? Most people would never believe it. They would toss it into a tip jar, feed it into a vending machine, or let it disappear into a pocket full of loose change. But collectors know something the average spender doesn't. Sometimes the smallest coins hide the biggest opportunities. Every day, millions of Americans handle pocket change without taking a second look. Somewhere among those ordinary coins could be an extraordinary discovery waiting to be recognized. Before you spend another dime, ask yourself one question. What if the next coin in your wallet could completely change your financial future? There are two kinds of people in the world when it comes to coins. The first spends them without thinking. The second examines every detail, every mint mark, every tiny imperfection that could transform 10 cents into a life-changing collectible. History has repeatedly shown that overlooked coins have sold for astonishing amounts because of rare minting mistakes, exceptional preservation, or one-of-a-kind production errors. The difference between a spender and a collector is often nothing more than knowledge. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern Roosevelt dimes ever discussed, the 2017 P. Roosevelt dime. At first glance, the 2017 P. Roosevelt dime appears completely ordinary. It features President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the famous torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of dimes that year, making the coin seem incredibly common. But hidden within this enormous production are a tiny number of unusual examples that have captured the attention of experienced collectors across the country. These are the coins that create excitement at auctions and inspire treasure hunters to search through rolls from banks, old collections, and forgotten jars of change. Here's something many people don't realize. The Philadelphia Mint only began placing the P Mint mark on circulating dimes in 1980. Before then, Philadelphia dimes carried no mint mark at all. That simple letter has become an essential part of identifying modern Roosevelt dimes, and for specialists, every tiny variation surrounding that mint mark matters. Now, here's where the story becomes fascinating. Certain 2017 P Roosevelt dimes have reportedly surfaced with dramatic striking abnormalities and production errors that make them stand apart from ordinary circulation pieces. While most examples remain worth only face value, collectors aggressively pursue the few that display significant minting mistakes combined with outstanding condition. Attention for just a second. If you have a jar of coins sitting in your kitchen, garage, or closet, don't wait until the end of this video. Remember where it is. Thousands of valuable coins have been discovered in ordinary household containers because nobody bothered to inspect them carefully. Let's explore the errors that generate the greatest excitement. One of the most desirable possibilities is a major off-center strike. During the minting process, if the blank planchet shifts away from its proper position before being struck, part of the design may be missing while the remaining details appear fully impressed. Minor off-center strikes are collectible, but dramatic examples showing significant displacement while retaining the full date become exceptionally attractive to error collectors. Another highly sought-after variety is the broad strike error. This occurs when the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the metal to spread beyond its intended diameter. The result is a noticeably wider coin with distorted proportions and missing edge definition. Because broad strike errors are genuine mint mistakes, authenticated examples often command strong premiums. Collectors also search intensely for double-struck examples. Imagine a coin being struck once, failing to eject properly, then receiving another strike while slightly rotated or shifted. The overlapping images create dramatic visual effects that are impossible to ignore. Major double strikes represent some of the most exciting modern mint errors because every example is completely unique. Then there's the famous die crack. As dies wear out under tremendous pressure, tiny fractures can develop across their surfaces. Every coin struck afterward carries those raised lines permanently embedded into the design. While minor die cracks are relatively common, extensive cracks combined with retained cuds or major die breaks become highly collectible because they illustrate the gradual deterioration of the minting equipment itself. But perhaps the most intriguing possibilities involve missing clad layers or improperly bonded planchets. Roosevelt dimes are struck on copper cores covered by thin outer layers of nickel. If one of those outer layers is absent before striking, the resulting coin displays an unusual appearance and often weighs less than a normal example. These dramatic wrong planchet and missing layer errors are among the most visually distinctive modern mint mistakes. Here's another thought. How many people have handled your change before it reached your pocket? 10? 100? 1,000? Now imagine that one rare error coin quietly passed through every one of those hands because nobody recognized what they were looking at. Condition also plays an enormous role in determining value. Professional grading services examine every microscopic detail before assigning a numerical grade. Coins receiving grades such as Mint State 67, Mint State 68, or even higher become increasingly scarce. The difference between an average circulated dime and an exceptional Mint State specimen can mean the difference between 10 cents and thousands of dollars. Modern collectors especially prize coins displaying brilliant original luster, sharp strike quality, clean surfaces, and minimal contact marks. Since millions of coins enter circulation immediately after leaving the mint, preserving flawless examples becomes surprisingly difficult. Every trip through a cash register, every fall into a coin jar, and every contact with another coin leaves tiny marks that reduce overall quality. Now let's discuss the number that captures everyone's imagination: $988,000. You may have seen headlines claiming that certain modern coins could approach values close to $1 million. It's important to understand exactly what drives such extraordinary figures. A standard 2017 P Roosevelt dime is not worth anywhere near that amount. However, an exceptionally rare coin featuring an extraordinary mint error, verified authenticity, elite condition, remarkable rarity, and intense bidding competition could potentially achieve astonishing auction results. Prices at major auctions are determined by collectors competing against one another, not by face value or metal content alone. The market for elite mint errors has expanded dramatically over the past decade. Wealthy collectors constantly seek pieces that almost nobody else can own. When supply becomes nearly non-existent and demand continues growing, remarkable prices can follow. That's exactly why experts emphasize authentication before making any assumptions about value. Attention reset. Go grab a magnifying glass if you own one. Most valuable error coins don't announce themselves from across the room. The smallest details often make the biggest difference. Professional authentication is absolutely essential. Reputable grading companies examine weight, dimensions, strike characteristics, die markers, and metal composition using sophisticated equipment. This process separates genuine mint errors from post-mint damage that occurred after the coin entered circulation. A scratched, bent, or damaged dime isn't rare simply because it looks unusual. True mint errors occur during the manufacturing process itself. Another fascinating aspect of the 2017 P Roosevelt dime is how easily it blends into everyday circulation. Unlike older silver coins that immediately catch the eye, modern clad dimes appear completely ordinary. That invisibility makes the hunt even more exciting because valuable discoveries can emerge from coin rolls obtained directly from local banks. Many successful collectors spend evenings searching through hundreds or even thousands of coins one roll at a time. Most searches produce nothing unusual, but every experienced numismatist understands that patience is part of the journey. Treasure hunting has never guaranteed instant success. Instead, it rewards consistency, knowledge, and attention to detail. Here's a quick question. If someone secretly placed a six-figure coin into your pocket today, would you recognize it before spending it? Most people wouldn't. That's exactly why education remains the collector's greatest advantage. The Roosevelt dime series itself carries a remarkable legacy. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his passing, the design has remained one of America's longest-running circulating coin series. For decades, collectors have assembled complete date and mint collections while also pursuing spectacular mint errors that tell stories the history books never mention. Every error represents a split-second mechanical event inside the mint. A shifted planchet, a cracked die, a failed collar, a doubled strike. These tiny accidents create permanent historical artifacts that survived quality control and entered circulation unnoticed. That combination of rarity and history explains why collectors become so passionate about owning them. Today's demand for rare modern errors continues growing. Competition has intensified. Social media, online auctions, and digital marketplaces have introduced millions of new collectors to the hobby. Information travels faster than ever before, meaning that extraordinary discoveries receive national attention almost instantly. The days of quietly finding valuable coins without anyone noticing are becoming increasingly rare. Still, remarkable finds continue to happen. People discover valuable coins in inherited collections, estate sales, forgotten piggy banks, cash register drawers, bank rolls, and even loose change received during ordinary shopping trips. Every one of those discoveries began with someone taking a closer look instead of assuming every dime was the same. That brings us to the most important lesson of today's story. Knowledge creates opportunity. The difference between spending a rare coin and preserving it often comes down to recognizing a tiny detail that everyone else ignored. Whether it's an unusual strike, a dramatic mint error, exceptional condition, or another rare characteristic, careful observation always gives collectors an advantage. The next time you receive change, slow down for just a moment. Check the date. Look for the P mint mark. Examine both sides under good lighting. Search for unusual doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, missing clad layers, or any feature that appears different from ordinary examples. Most coins will simply be worth 10 cents, but all it takes is one remarkable discovery to make every search worthwhile. The hunt never truly ends because America's pocket change continues telling stories that few people ever notice. Somewhere, another rare coin is waiting patiently to be discovered by someone curious enough to look a little closer. And if you think today's Roosevelt dime was unbelievable, wait until you see the next episode, where we'll uncover an ultra-rare American coin that has stunned collectors with its incredible rarity, breathtaking error features, and auction prices that continue to surprise even the most experienced experts. You won't want to miss what comes next.